Welcome to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Castle of Dragon, brought to us by the Seta Corporation. It was developed by Athena and is the unofficial prequel to Swordmaster. Fortunately for Swordmaster, many of the mistakes and problems in this title were later fixed in that one. This game is also a port of a Japanese-only arcade title, and that may be the reason that this title suffers. Now in this playthrough I may be a little biased against this title, so I apologize to those who are fans of the game. This is one of those games that used to drive me insane while I played it. Now the gameplay in Castle of Dragon is your average side-scroller. You move from the left side screen to the right side screen, defeating enemies as you go to complete each level, with each level also ending with a boss. Some levels also contain multiple mini-bosses you must defeat in each level. Your basic form of attack is your sword. You do gain a few new weapons as the game goes on. However, the one thing that does make the game a little bit unique is that you do have a level-up system. Each time you defeat an enemy, you gain a little bit of experience. Every time the meter fills all the way to the top, you gain a level, and it increases your health meter. As you can see, my health bar is on the left side, it's the orange meter, and my experience meter is the blue meter on the side. I do recommend killing multiples of the bat enemies to gain a decent amount of experience to level yourself up as you go through the game. Currently, I do have one of the power-ups that only lasts for a little bit of time, but it definitely helped me on that previous mini-boss. Now here is actually our first boss of the game, and my real strategy for most of the bosses in this title are going to be to run up and start slashing as quickly as possible. Your hit, as well as the enemy's hit, don't always register, which can definitely be a real problem, especially when getting to the later parts of the game. It also sometimes doesn't make any sense why you'll take damage. You'll just be knocked back a little bit, or you end up seeing your health meter decrease, and you have no idea why. Also, a lot of enemies will just seemingly push you like that zombie did, and just continue pushing you as you try to attack it, and it'll just keep draining your health very quickly as it goes through. Another huge issue is that some of the enemy's projectiles will hit your body, and slowly progress through it, doing damage as it slowly goes by. Now this is actually the boss of the second level, and it's exactly the same strategy as the first boss. Run up to him, and hit him as quickly as possible. After defeating him, we do gain our second weapon, which is a pair of throwing knives. Now with the throwing knives, as well as the other weapon we'll get later in the game, you actually can press the start button to switch between the different weapons. As you can see by my blue meter, I'm actually pretty close to leveling up. Now what I did gain from defeating that one enemy early on is a power-up that allows you to shoot lightning with your sword. Every time you attack, a lightning bolt will then come down and strike enemies. Just like the previous upgrade I did have that launched like that orange boomerang-esque shape at an enemy, it only lasts for a short period of time. Now this is a boss we've actually already defeated, but now he's not actually an end-level boss, he's just a regular mini-boss throughout the level. And same strategy as before, I'm using the throwing knives in this situation than I did the sword in the first level, but it's the same process, getting close and then start attacking. By defeating him, he gave us that orange wave boomerang-esque weapon. Now as soon as I crossed that gap, I fought a zombie mini-boss, who, because of my orange wave, I was able to take him out very quickly. Now here's actually the boss of the stage, this Minotaur enemy, who I recommend throwing weapons at him or hitting him with the sword, jumping over him, and then repeating the process as he comes back over. He can just walk through you and end up racking up damage against you, as you can see right there. If you have a good amount of health, you should be able to defeat him. By defeating him, we advance the level as well as we gain the Mace Weapon. Now in my opinion, the Mace Weapon is definitely the best weapon in the game, and I'll be using it throughout the rest of the run until actually the final boss. As you can see with the weapon, it slowly goes out, and it gets the enemy stuck, and as it retracts, it does multiple hits, so it makes it a lot easier to kill certain enemies. However, just like with the throwing knives, if you do pick up an upgrade of power, such as the orange wave I have here, or the lightning bolt, it does automatically switch back to the sword. I guess the sword is the only weapon in the game they decide to give the power-up to. But definitely the power-ups, especially the lightning bolt when you do get it, is definitely worth using. Now here's another little mini enemy, as you can see, using my mace to easily take him out. He will barely get to me. Sometimes, however, even when he's far enough away, as you saw, he was able to hit me even though he was nowhere in my range. Now this is definitely a pain of the enemy, the harpy-esque enemy that flies around. You have to jump up and hit it a few times with the mace, but since you do have that mace and you can rack up multiple hits each time you throw it out, definitely makes it an overall easier boss. Now, the one we have to face here is a little bit challenging because we have to be on this small pedestal, but try to stay in the middle. Even if it knocks you off a little bit, just move right back into the middle of the pedestal and continue the assault. Now the level I'm doing here is the top of the castle. However, you do have a choice in doing several levels other than this one first, including going right to the final boss. However, if you do choose to go right to the final boss, he will instantly kill you if you don't have certain items. Now this mini-boss is actually the final mini-boss before our actual first real big boss. As you can see, it's a little bit of a pain because his projectile weapons do go through you and can sometimes do multiple hits, especially when you're trying to jump at him. However, with the mace, you can take him out pretty easily. By defeating him, you get the golden armor, which not only lessens the amount of damage you do take from enemies, it also deflects and lessens the amount of damage you take from the final boss. Now here's our first actual real boss of the game, and a pretty easy strategy overall. You can jump up to attack him and hit him with the mace to do multiple hits, but then he'll fly over your head and move towards him when he flies up so that you don't take any damage from his claws that are hanging down on his feet. Then quickly dodge his projectile weapon, which is really easy to dodge, and then repeat the process over and over again, and you should be able to defeat him in only a minute or so. There we go, with him defeated, we now go back out to this screen where we can actually choose the next floor that we want to go to. Now as we start off this level, we start off with a battle against the Mage Ball, who we've already faced before, same strategy as ever. Just walk up to him and hit him a few times, and with the Mace Weapon especially, he should be taken care of in only a few hits. The following mini-boss is another one we've faced before. He disappears from the left side and right side of the screens, and then as he comes towards you, hit him and he'll go back to the other side of the screen, and just keep repeating the process. Now here are some moving knight chess pieces before our next boss. Now with this boss, the same strategy as ever before with most bosses, just duck down, hit him a few times, and keep him away from you, keeping a good distance between you and him. Sometimes he'll get close enough to actually do damage to you, even though sometimes it doesn't make sense. However, by defeating him, he gives us a little bit of the upgrades, giving us that golden wave ability, which can easily take out one of the other mini-bosses that we've already faced, but we just now face for the second time. As we move on, we now have a pink version of the mage that we've already fought. Same exact strategy and same everything as before, just for some reason his sprite color has been changed from his red robe to a pink robe. Just ahead is another knight enemy. Same strategy, just moving close and use the mace to keep a distance between yourself and him. He'll be done in only a few seconds. And now we finally reached the boss of the stage. Now this once again, just like the previous level, now there's going to be this boss and then a bigger boss that we'll face right after this one. Now this one is a Medusa enemy that actually can be a little challenging. The projectile that she shoots out, I recommend definitely timing your jump to jump over it, because it's one of those ones that when it hits your body it stops and slowly goes through you and does multiple hits and can really take a good chunk of your health away. Once defeating it, we get our second of our 4 relics, and then we move on to the dragon boss. Now this boss is actually, I think, easier than the one we previously fought because it doesn't have a projectile weapon to shoot. However, the strategy is the same. Jump up and hit it, then move to the right side of the screen so that when it jumps, it goes completely over your head. Sometimes it may accidentally clip you with the back part of its tail, but it doesn't do too much damage, and if you have a good amount of hits going into the battle, you should be able to easily get through it without taking too much damage. Repeat jumping and hitting, and then moving to the right side to dodge his weapon. Sometimes he does get stuck, like he just did there, and he'll just sit there and let you get 2, 3, or 4 hits in before he then continues the move, which can definitely be a help. A few more hits, and he's taken care of, and now we'll choose our next floor and move to the next level of the game. Our next level is the fire pit level, which, by being in the fire pit level, you can expect a few, well, fire pits. First boss, easy to take care of, fought him multiple times before, hit him a few times and he's done. Now here's probably one of the more challenging areas because it's really the only platforming other than the roof area that we've had to deal with. Make it past the fire pit to face a skeleton, which is extremely easy to kill, just like